The year is 1994. Sunrise and Bandai had just aired Mobile Suit Victory Gundam. While the Gundam brand was still going strong, the companies experienced a hurdle concerning Gundam's longevity. It has been 15 years since the original Mobile Suit Gundam aired, and while the franchise has expanded so much since then, there was the potential trouble of adapting with the times, as well as capturing and maintaining viewers. To put it into perspective, those who had watched the original Gundam as children experienced Zeta, Double Zeta, and Char's counterattack as teenagers. And by the time Victory came around, these audiences have likely grown out of Gundam. It's going to take more than a miracle to recapture what made the original Gundam so appealing to begin with. And that appeal could only last for so long. Or could it? While the Gundam brand may have experienced a temporary loss with series creator Yoshiyuki Tomino leaving the franchise for the time being, there was a big opportunity for both Sunrise and Bandai. An opportunity that would forever change the series. Thus came the introduction of the Gundam Multiverse. This was a huge benefit. New stories could be developed without having to face the burden of having to abide by 15 years worth of pre-established lore. And obviously, more model kits can be sold. And to commemorate Gundam's 15th anniversary, why not celebrate with a new installment? Up to this point, Gundam was known as this grand space opera of epic proportions. One that puts on a full display of war and its effects on people, society, and the world itself. So how do you try and reinvent Gundam for a new audience? Well, turns out the answer was quite simple. You completely strip it down to its basic fundamentals and create one of the most bombastic, over-the-top, and unapologetically awesome anime to ever grace television screens. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mobile Fighter G Gundam. G Gundam would be directed by the legendary Yasuhiro Imagawa, who I am absolutely certain needs no introduction at this point if you've been following me for a while. Alongside him would be writer Furuyoni Gobu, who's probably more recognized for his work on Gal Gaigar. Many of the production designers from Victory Gundam would actually go on to work on G Gundam, such as character designer Hiroshi Osaka, as well as mech designers Kunio Okawara and Hajime Katoki. There were also several new faces this time around, one of which would be mangaka Kazuhiko Shimanoto, who's known for his manga adaptations of Kamen Rider Zeto and Shotaro Ishinomori's Skullman one-shot. Shimanoto would assist in character designs. Additionally, there was mech designer Kimitoshi Yamane, whose work includes Bubblegum Crisis, Detonator Orgun, Kashan, Gatchaman, and Cowboy Bebop. Yamane would also later work on future Gundam series such as the 8th MS Team, Gundam Seed, MS Igloo, and G-Rico. And composing the music would be Kohei Tanaka of Dragon Ball, Gunbuster, and Patlabor. The year is Future Century 60. Earth has been war-torn to the point where the world's nations have been divided into space colonies. But as opposed to resolving conflict with warfare, every 4 years, a world martial arts tournament is held, where the colonies compete with machines named Mobile Fighters. The winner rules the colonies until the next tournament. The story follows the hot-blooded Neo-Japan fighter Domon Kashu as he searches for his brother Kyoji, who supposedly stole a machine called the Devil Gundam, with the incident causing the death of their mother and their father, who originally built it to help restore life to the Earth, to be sentenced to cryosleep. Along the way, Doma meets fighters like Neo America's Chibity Crockett, whose Gundam Maxter is literally Cletus if it was a Gundam. Neo France's George Desand, whose Gundam Rose is a Gundam rocking a 19th century French military uniform. Neo China's Sai Saichi, whose Dragon Gundam is rather self-explanatory. Neo Russia's Argo Golsky, whose Bolt Gundam is reminiscent to a Russian officer uniform. And just one of the most badass antagonists ever, Master Asia of Neo Hong Kong, whose Master Gundam is very demon-like, especially with that sweet and sick black and red color scheme. Gotta love that. All of these characters enter the next Gundam fight tournament, which Domon enters to find his brother. Now, everyone has already talked about how ridiculous and overtop the mechs in the show are, but honestly, they're genius. I can talk more about them, but we'll be here all day, so to put it short, not only are they insanely creative, but they speak so much about their pilots. Almost as if these machines are the embodiment of who they are. Domon's Shining Gundam is very similar to that of a Ronin, which symbolizes his journey. And when he upgrades to the God Gundam, or Burning Gundam depending on who you talk to, it really feels like an evolved version of the Shining Gundam, which now literally burns with his passion. All the characters in G Gundam are very memorable. Adding to those I mentioned earlier, Rain Mikamura is an excellent support who has wonderful chemistry with Domon. Additionally, Ulube Ishikawa and Yongwon Fat make for a disgustingly corrupt pair of villains that you just love to hate. There's also other characters I love like Schwarzbrüder and Alan B. Beardsley, but I can't say much without spoiling some of the show. Another thing that makes these characters memorable is all the raw emotion and passion given to them by their voice performers. Tomokazu Seki puts a lot of energy into his performance as Domon, and I honestly cannot imagine anyone else doing that character. Other standout performances include Yosuke Akimoto as Master Asia, and some of y'all may recognize Rain's voice, Yuri Amano, from Yu Yu Hakusho. And with great characters and mech designs, you can obviously expect great fights. Every one of Domon's finishing moves will be etched into your brain, and it never gets tiresome. And this is also helped by the music, which gets pretty hype as it manages to be both intense and memorable. While I can talk more about the story, I honestly don't think I can do it justice. What I gave you is a very bare bones idea of its premise, and that's because Mobile Fighter G Gundam has so much to offer in terms of storytelling. The show takes so many twists and turns that it never gets boring. Everything in this show is executed to such perfection that you cannot help but stay engaged the whole way through. You will really find yourself invested in the characters and the events that unfold before you. And on top of that, the story has so much heart and soul behind it that by the time it's all over, it will leave you begging for more. The one thing that makes G Gundam such an interesting and remarkable entry to the Gundam franchise is that on one hand, it feels like such a departure from what the series is known for, but at the same time, it uses this departure to go around with its own unique spin on the Gundam concept and tie back to the franchise's core elements. From its catchy as hell openings, to its wonderful character development, to its unique mech designs, to its bombastic action scenes, and the fact that it manages to be a compelling story about love, compassion, unity, human ingenuity, what we are capable of, and how we can use our gifts to create a brighter future, even in our darkest times. Mobile Fighter G Gundam is probably my favorite entry in the entire Mobile Suit Gundam franchise, period. It is by definition a masterpiece. Seriously, I don't care who you are or how interested you are into Mecha, Mobile Fighter G Gundam is a must-watch. But if you have seen Mobile Fighter G Gundam, what did you think of it? Where does it fall in your Gundam ranking? Drop a comment below, and if you like what you see, then consider supporting the channel on Patreon, where for at least a single dollar you can get access to my Discord server. Other than that, you can also get early access to videos, exclusive content, commission video requests, and receive a t-shirt of your choice from my TeePublic. Feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and this is TitanGoji, signing off.